I'm going to be honest with you. Lately, every time someone says it's a great time to be a small business, part of me nods. Because sure, it really is, but part of me also really wants to roll my eyes. Yes, there are more tools than ever. Yes, AI can help us scale ourselves beyond our 17 hats that we're already wearing, but there's also unstable economics, weird politics, social algorithms that feel like a slot machine, and customers who are more skeptical than they have ever been. And so, if you're feeling all of that all at once, the excitement, the anxiety, a little bit of what even is happening right now, you are not alone. Hey, I'm Dani Henneberger, the founder of Mise en Plan and your host here at the table where we talk about the real side of marketing and running a business that actually feels like you. In this episode, I really wanted to reflect on what I see coming down the pipeline and what I'm paying attention to in 2026. And I want to give you some advice for how you can take that information and use it to stay grounded, to be visible, to remain a human in the middle of all of it. So take a breath, grab a coffee, pull up a seat, or go take a walk, and let's get into it. First, we've got that elephant in the room. Number one, AI. AI isn't going anywhere, but the way people feel about it, I feel like is going to start splitting. We're going to see big businesses and tech going all in because AI is the buzzword. It's the trend. It's going to be in everything. And AI content, I think, is going to start flooding every platform to the point where it's hard to tell what's real and what's bot written. I've already had the experience just this morning of seeing a cute little dog video and saying, "Oh, that's so cute," and then hitting the comments and finding everybody's yelling, it's AI," and suddenly feeling so gross that I had almost believed it. And that's the whiplash that I think we're all walking into this year as the quality of AI gets better and better. What I think will happen, though, is that more and more people will rightfully start questioning not just the content they see, but also how they use AI in their own work and their own lives. As a small business owner, that's your cue to be intentional. I want you to notice how you perceive content. And then I also want you to decide how you want to leverage AI. I'm recommending that that is as a tool that supports your judgment, not something that replaces it. And that brings me to number two, authenticity. Because all this AI saturation, authenticity and humanness in your voice, in your content, and in how you're delivering it are going to become non negotiable. People are still going to consume AI assisted content, but they will trust the brands that feel like a real person is behind them. This doesn't mean you can't use AI. I am not saying that at all. It just means that you can't outsource your entire voice to it. Your job is to know who you're talking to and what you're saying and how you want to say it. And then let AI help you refine, not actually define that. So, as a small business owner, use AI to check your work, to brainstorm, to organize, to automate those repeatable tasks that you just really don't need to be doing on your own. That is the right way to be using AI. But I want you to protect your voice. If the tool starts sounding more like you than you actually do, that is a good sign that it is time to start pulling back a little bit. And that brings us to number three. I have a very strong feeling that when it comes to social media, the pendulum is starting to swing back in the other direction. The heyday of Instagram and Meta is over. Reach is down, metrics are rough for most people. And yet, yes, of course, there's always going to be that core group of people that say that those of us that aren't seeing success are just bad at it. And then those same people often go and say, "It's amazing for me, buy my course on how I did it." But what they don't say is that they did that with an old algorithm, and that algorithm changes every 24 hours, it seems. So, how valid is their secret sauce for success? I don't know. Maybe it works for some people, but I have been having a lot of conversations where it has just become increasingly frustrating and a zero sum game with limited ROI, especially for counting our time and effort as part of the investment in that. So, some things to think about. But that being said, I don't necessarily think that social media is dead. completely. I don't think it's dead, but it's not the main character anymore. It is one channel, not the strategy. And it may not even be a channel for you, depending on the industry that you're in. So, as you plan your 2026, start thinking beyond social. And the next few points, I think, are opportunities where you can really build something more sustainable under and around social media. And one of those is number 5, building relationships. I believe wholeheartedly that the future is relational. In fact, at an event I was at on Tuesday, that was a core part of the conversation that we had, especially focusing on the wedding industry. But that's true for everybody. Partnerships are going to carry more weight than algorithms. And I think that that is especially true for any service based businesses out there. Last year, honestly, full transparency, 3/4 of my business came from relationships and partnerships. And some of them were planted a very long time ago, and every single one of those clients I genuinely loved. And so, even better, it was better quality leads, better quality relationships. It was just great all around, and it worked for me. And as AI and social continue to get noisier and the trust of what content is out there erodes and the people who are putting it out there, the most powerful social proof will be someone you already trust saying you should go talk to them. I worked with them, they were fabulous. That cuts the decision anxiety and the decision complexity down by 98%. Online reviews are great. Keep getting them. I'm not telling you not to get those. But your goal is to ideally be the person who gets remembered in the conversation. That word of mouth is instrumental to, I think, the future of where we're headed. And so that's exactly why I started the table live. I wanted an opportunity for people to be able to get together, to have small group of like-minded people where you get to meet each other as humans first, business owners second. And it's been wildly powerful for connections and referrals and honestly making sure that everyone is part of the conversation. Those small seeds you plant come back with an entire field. And I think that is so important. And so if something like that exists near you, or you can create your own version, do it. Or come to mine. I'd love to save you a seat. Just send me a note. I'll get you on the list. I promise. But in all of this, I want you to start looking for other business owners in tangential industries, such as if you're in the wedding industry, or if you're in professional services, or if you're in health and wellness, and especially if you have a particular focus for type of customer that you work with, they are going to be your best champions, and you conversely can be theirs. Number 6 brings us to self care. If you're in the consumer space, people, I think, are going to start or rather keep prioritizing spending on themselves, their physical health, their mental health, their spiritual growth, education, anything that helps them feel more grounded in whatever is happening in this chaotic world. I think the concept of luxury is shifting from things to experiences and from status to just having some freaking stability. And at the same time, I really do think that the average person's spending will continue to get more and more cautious because no one feels like they know what next week is going to look like. And that means positioning your offers ideally to be clearly tied to someone's well being or sense of control. And that can make it a much more powerful position. I'm not saying you should be reducing your rates or doing anything like that to meet this scarcity mindset that is starting to blossom, but thinking about what the value add is going to be even more important. And for you, founder to founder, see this also as your invitation to stop treating your own self care as being optional. After more than a decade of burnout from corporate life and building this business, and not to mention the few really intense years globally, this has been a really big focus for me and something that I'm determined to be investing in as an individual this year. And I know this is the work that many of us are in. So take care of yourself and give yourself permission to invest in you as much as you invest in your business, because investing in you is investing in your business. And then we come to number 7, the economic outlook. This one is a little heavy. I mean, on paper, some of the economic charts still look fine, but that can be a little misleading. I think over the last year, a lot of forces have been set in motion. A lot of balls have started rolling. The tariffs, there have been acts of war, threats of war, shifting alliances, shifting geopolitical power dynamics, corporate mergers, benefits cuts, political unrest. And together, all of these, even if they haven't necessarily shown themselves yet, have the capacity of being extremely destabilizing and can destabilize planning. Any great planning you have, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, who knows? But even these things, if they don't hit your business directly today, they can eventually show up in unexpected ways through your buyers, through your team, or even your supply chain and your community. So when you see something big happening in the news, train your brain to start thinking 3 steps ahead. Ask yourself things like, how might this change what my clients worry about or what they need? How does this affect timelines, pricing, availability in my unique world? Is there a way for me to pivot my offers, my messaging, or operations in order to meet that moment when it comes? I think a really good example of this is how, and I'm going to use my own neighborhood as an example, but like I was astonished at how quickly my neighborhood in Alexandria, Virginia, was able to pivot during COVID. There were small businesses that all banded together and found ways of changing their entire business models to be able to serve the need of the community. And they were the ones that not only stayed alive during the COVID situation, but they thrived and are even stronger now than they were before. I mean, whether that was, hey, we were a restaurant, but now we're a grocery store, or hey, I'm going to find ways of being able to make sure that I can optimize for takeout. I'm going to find ways of being able to find outdoor seating wherever it works. These are just little things, and I know that that's a big crisis, but even in small situations, there are a lot of things that you can do that can create new opportunities within a business model for you so that you can stay afloat even when things get really, really hard or even seem impossible. That clarity and agility, like those 2 things are going to be your 2 most important assets this year, and honestly, probably in the coming years. One of the core things that I help people with is repositioning. And repositioning to a new reality for self and customer. So, if this is something you want to tackle, let's do it. Reach out to me. Let's figure out what we need to do to meet your customers where they are today, because I guarantee you they're in a different place today than they were even just a year ago or even 6 months ago at this point. My goodness. And again, that brings us to number 8, which is politics. Honestly, historically, businesses have tried to stay out of politics publicly. That's been less true in the last decade, and it's getting nearly impossible now. While I was at Zola, I was so deeply proud of how we showed up for marriage equality and social justice, and those stances aligned with our values, and they felt natural. They didn't feel performative, and they certainly weren't. Genuinely, every person that worked there believed wholeheartedly in that as an issue. Um, Today, politics are woven into daily life. Policy decisions are directly shaping people's rights, safety, livelihoods, and your businesses. And in 2026, I predict that more businesses are not going to feel pressure. I think pressure is the wrong word. I think inspiration to take stand on issues that might extend beyond their somewhat narrow brand values, and that consumers are going to be increasingly using their wallets to signal what they will and they won't tolerate. And I think that that's going to be more important, especially as they become more likely to choose to buy from businesses that think like them. Small businesses, especially, I don't think can afford to pretend neutrality doesn't cost anything. As they say, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And so the key is to be honest, be consistent, take stands where you can back them up in your operations and behavior and not just in a post. There is a difference between believing and supporting and being performative. And so I ask you to just make sure that you're being honest with yourself about which one of those you're doing. And last but not least, I know those last 2 points felt a little bit heavy and a little bit real and a little bit raw for everything that we've been seeing in the news over the last couple of weeks, but I think number 9 is I think we're seeing a small business renaissance. Because despite all of this, or maybe because of it, there is a real opening for small business renaissance. Between political shifts, economic instability, the craving for authenticity, and changing consumer priorities, small businesses are uniquely positioned to be the trusted backbones of their communities again. But that requires innovation, clarity, and community over competition. You need to know exactly who you're for, why you're different, how you plug into a larger relational ecosystem. This isn't about out hacking the algorithm, it's about out humaning it. 26 isn't or doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It's a year of recalibration and re-empowerment. The waves will be rough as we're, sitting in our boat on the docks. But if you stay clear, connected, and human, you are going to be far better positioned than any faceless brand trying to automate its way into people's hearts. Sure, they may have a leg up now, but in the long game, that is really going to be the differentiator. And so those are my 9, the things that I think are coming down the pipeline. I think we have AI to talk about, authenticity to own, social media to reconsider, relationships to build, selves to care for, economics to watch out for, politics to speak up against, and to just become the best small businesses that we possibly can be. And so, if this episode has you nodding along, like, yep, I have been feeling this, take this as your reminder that you are not imagining it and you're definitely not the only one. 2026 is weird. It is weird. It is already weird. And I'm recording this on not February. Oh my gosh. See, I don't even know what day it is. January 9th. But I think it's weird, but it's not hopeless. There is so much room for small, thoughtful businesses to stand out by being clear, honest, deeply human members of their communities, both local, national, globally. If you want help untangling what these shifts look like for you in your offers and your marketing, that's exactly what I do in my VIP days. We sit down, we map out what's changing around you, we build a plan that feels doable and aligned, not like another full time job, because you are not marketers. You are specialists in your unique craft or service. And you can find a link in the show notes or just DM me. Let's chat. Let's figure out if it's a fit. And I want to learn more about what you're thinking about when it comes to 2026 and what your predictions are too. So send me a note. Let me know what you're thinking. And if this conversation was helpful, the best way to keep it going is to subscribe, share it with a friend, bring it up at your next coffee or dinner with other founders. But most importantly, I want to thank you for pulling up a chair with me today. I am so glad you're here. I will save you a seat for next time.